Hello, hello. Uh, Welcome, everybody. So we're gonna slowly gather around, but yeah, thanks for joining. So, yeah, today, as I was saying on LinkedIn, gonna share a Figma file, gonna get you guys through everything. I mean, as much as I can, because there is a lot of things to cover. And to be honest, it just takes a long time to go through everything because it's actually it will take weeks to explain everything good. And in order to have it properly, we will need to it will not fit in this live. And so for this live, which is going to be around an hour long, I'm gonna go through the process and explain how we do things in Figma. This will not cover Webflow or some other complex stuff, but yeah, Figma mostly. And if you guys like content like this, then we can share more of the things later. So for now, I'm just gonna share this resources page. 1 second, just to copy it. No, yeah, okay. Now I'm using Chrome and I'm used to Arc, but never mind. Okay, so in the chat, there will be a link to go to the resources page, so where you can leave your name and email and actually get the link of the Figma file. And I will share the screen, but you can also dive in the Figma file and follow me around there. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen now and show the process. Who wants, if more people are going to join later, they can get it from there. But anyway, yes, okay, let me share the screen. Yeah, okay, so this one. Wow, endless loop. Yeah, so I think you can see the screen. So this is how Figma file looks like. This is the Figma file that we use for every project. And actually here I put everything in Figma, but when we start the UX sprint, we usually go with Figma Jam. But since I wanted to have everything in one place for purpose of this free file, I put everything in one Figma. So here on pages, you can see different types of pages that we are split the project. So the first thing that we start with is the UX wireframe. Then we have, after that, the art direction, which is empty, but I'll explain the process. Once the art direction is completed and done, then we can go through the style guide and creating the design system using variables and other stuff. After that, we have a UI design where we can go through page by page, and in the end, we can take care of the animation. Now, these two are empty because you'll understand, but there is nothing to put. Only is just an example of a project or something like that. Give me a few seconds. I just want to separate this so they can see everything. Yeah. Okay, so in this UX wireframe with a sitemap, when we start a project, we always start with getting meet with a client. And the sprint is a week long, and it's not something that we invited. This is the originally sprint is this kind of sprint is created by actually UX is created by Google. And then there are some guys from Google that wanted to wanted to make this all this easier and faster and simpler. One of the guys is called Jake Knapp. Actually, I forgot the name of the other guy. And they created Design Sprint, which is a book that you can read and learn about this whole process. This can be applied to pretty much everything, not just websites, but and there is an agency that you might heard of called AJ and Smart. And this agency, we kind of took their approach, but applied it to this website design with a combination of the Webflow. So this is like a long story short. But to get started, as I said, it's a week-long process, and we always try to start on Monday by getting on a call with a client, which is like around hour long. And this during this hour-long process, we talk about, we call it how might we, because first of all, there is just some example questions here that we ask, like trying. I mean, before that, you'd always have a discovery call, but during this how might we session, we try to dive deeper into everything, and of course, we always try to include as many team members as possible, and client can include their team members. So as many people as you can, because the process gets easier and faster. So we ask questions like, what does your product or service do? How does it help people? What are the best features of your product and service? Where do they see your product and service in 2 years, and so on? So meaning that we just try to learn more about the process, about everything, and that will be like a 45 minutes discussion, going back and forth, trying to include more people into discussion, just to learn more about it. The last 15 minutes, actually the last 15 minutes only in total, 10 minutes out of this 15 minutes, we do this exercise called How Might We, where everyone literally who is a part of the discussion, take these notes and write down any question that they might have, but starting with how might we. We don't want to start it like how or why or stuff like that, because then you will expect to answer those questions, and we really don't want to answer them right now. It's just we just want to ask as many questions as possible without looking for the answer. And all the people can do that and should do that, should be anonymous. We don't need to know who wrote the question or stuff like that. And then we put the names of everybody that's a part of the process. We put likes like this, but you can put anything like a dot or something. And then we vote. You can put one of these on one question, or two on one, or three or one, or just split them accordingly, whatever you want. So, and the questions that have the most votes are the questions that we're gonna focus on during the whole process. Obviously, we're gonna address everything, all the questions, but we really want to narrow down on the top three, which everybody agrees on, that are most important and that we need to focus, because we really need something to focus on during the whole process. We cannot just go around and clueless. Yeah. So this is after that, that's a wrap for the day one. Wrap for a client, but actually on this first day, on Monday, we can also do a mapping step, which is like a next step. And mapping is trying to, but this actually mapping can be done the same day with the client, because if the client have time. If not, then we can leave it for the next day. But mapping is actually trying to discover the flow of the website, because we usually do work with websites. We don't often work with applications and this kind of stuff. So it's just websites in this case. And there's many different ways how you can approach to the mapping. Maybe the simplest way is to put it like you have a point A and point B, in which the point A would be discovery and the point B would be the goal. And you fill in with everything in between, where you really want to know, after the people discover you or discover the client's website, what would be the next step? So the next step obviously is to learn more about it, then to try using it. And the overall goal, for example, in many cases, is conversion to contact. And this is a small example of actually the whole UX process. I forgot to say that, but here is an example of the company that we worked with, which they are like a small company focusing on because focusing on hail damaged vehicles, and they repair them in US. And we created a website for them, which was a very conversion focused website. And here I took example of that to use for the purpose of this exercise. So for example, I'm not going to go too deep, as I said, because it's a very long process. But first thing, how they discover you. They can be the Google search, referral, advertising, many different ways. And depending on that, really depends what they're looking for and what they're going to see and where they're going to land. It's not always going to be a homepage, it can be some other page. But during that discovery, on that same place, they also learn. They can also learn something about you, who you are, what you do. Is that the service you provide, or the product that you have, something that they're looking for? Then they might think of, okay, so let me try using it, so they can use it a bit, and by going to the website. And if that's what they're looking for, is what you have on the website, then it can come up to the conversion. This is very rough explanation and should be done as an exercise, as I said, with the client and all the team members, or many people if you have. I mean, the whole idea of this UX process is to include as many people as you can. I know that sometimes some of you guys work as freelancers, work alone, but in that case, try to involve not just the client, but his team members, as many people as you can. It's just easier to get ideas and to go through everything. So the second step, as I said, is mapping, finding their kind of like a user journey, like how they get to you, to the website, and to the point of converting. After that, the day after that would be, all until this point is like a light work, just focusing on workshops and fun stuff. But after that, it's coming like a more tougher stuff, which is in this case starting by personas, user journey, and competitor analysis. You can either start with competitor analysis or personas. Doesn't matter. I would start with the competitor analysis, and that would usually start by researching about the competitors. Of course, we will ask some of these questions during our first step on the how might we discussion. And then after we learn about the competitors, we do a bit more of research, maybe to find some more competitors that our client does not know about. And the good thing is to create this kind of like a map where we put our client, in this case is 89 transfers, and then all these different kinds of competitors. And in this case, we put the features, which is okay. So some of these features, to put like a plus for the features that the client and competitor have, and the minus for the features that client or competitor does not have. By this, working with this kind of map, you can understand visually how your client stands and how others stands. If there's some weaknesses or something that they're missing that you might use for your client website, depending if you have a similar target group or audience, and which it can be, I don't know, actually this 89 transfer is a different client, which is about transfer in Mallorca, Spain, and they have an app so that people can schedule everything through the app. So Of course, features that they might have is like a pickup address, drop-off address, arrival date, return date, one-way, round trip, and etc. So there you can compare and see the differences between client and competitors. After that, I would suggest personas and user journey to do in the same day, because uh, you really want to stay in the focus until you do while you're doing this, because they're very connected. Creating personas is you should do with your client, because they know their audience the best. I mean, at least they should. And in any way, they can help you more than you by just doing some basic research. I suggest to create between two or three personas, not too much. And this is like a very light exercise. It's made maybe like a 15 or 20 minutes, where you go really into specific stuff. Yeah, I know that sometimes clients can say like, "Oh, our target audience are people between males between 35 and 60." That is not good. You need to go to you need to create a specific person that you want to target, and what you're creating for that person. You're not creating for, broad group of people, because you don't know them. You don't know if they're gonna like. You want this person to like, and when people like that come to the website, they will for sure convert because you created it for them. So we give it a name. The name doesn't need to be exact, but we need to give it because of the personality. After we fill up all this, then we can add an image of that person. And then we put the year, where they are from, what they're doing for work. You can even put if they're married, have children, all this kind of stuff. A bit short story about themselves, personality, goals and needs, fears and frustrations, and so on. After we create personas, I suggest to create a empathy map if you have time, which is to use this persona and connect it to what they hear, what they see, what they think, what they're doing, and pains and gains. Really, again, this doesn't need to be very deep stuff, but it should be quite enough to help you understand this particular person. So again, we do this for two or three different people. And after that, we can create a user journey for each one of them separately. So in this case, for example, user journey is for Michael. And in the user journey, we put different different things like goals and expectations, actions, feeling and thinking, and pain points. So this is like a template, so you can reuse this. You don't need to every time create it from scratch. You have like a template that you can just delete this stuff and fill it in with different information. But you have a basic structure. And then we have here interests, learning, deciding, using, and goal. So in this case, we use this hail repair client that we have. And we start with the first one, like goals and expectations. So what are they interested? They are interested in to reduce the anxiety about the car situation, because they're I don't know how much you know about this repairing cars in America, but they have very strict insurance policies. And when your vehicle are damaged, when your vehicle is damaged, and you want to go to this repair service and to use your insurance, you will need to wait like a couple of weeks in order for them to approve it. And during that time, you cannot use your vehicle. So there is an anxiety because they will not have their car, and what they're going to do and this kind of stuff. So that is what they're interested in, and to quickly come up with a solution for car dents caused by the hail, solutions of how to solve it. And so the advantages for our client in this case was, because that's why they call 48 hours, because everything was done within the 48 hours. Within that time, they pick up all the information, give you back your vehicle until everything is settled with insurance. And when it's settled, you can come back with your vehicle and complete procedure of fixing the car. So there is like a very good thing for the clients. Then after the interest, when you grab their interest, after that is learning more about the company or the service or the product itself. In this case, to look for a hail repair company that can do fixing fast. Their target audience are like around middle class people, so they don't come with expensive cars. So they're obviously looking for a hail repair company they can fix fast, and it is affordable, of course. So this is one of their learning points, speed. And the speed is in the name because it's called 48 hours. Then once they learn that, okay, so that's what I'm looking for, then they need to decide to find a company that has the best offers and benefits and can repair the car quickly. And how they can do that, how they can decide, make that decision. They can make that decision in case of our client because they can see on the website testimonials, they can see before and after, and they can see compare. We also had a comparison with the other companies. A lot of stuff that will help them decide that this is the right choice. And after that, they also want to use the website a bit to see the transparent offer, reliable service with social proofs and visible results. And one of the things that we did here is create a couple of different contact points. One was fast. They had a phone number, they can call them and get settled. The other one was just to fill a quick form. Then we have two very good ones. One was a 3-minute estimate, as we called it. And during 3-minute estimate, they can go to the multi-step form to select their vehicle, very visually to pick the points on the vehicle where damaged and with how many dents. And in the end, after they leave their information, they will receive PDF of the offer of how approximately that can cost, which is very good. And they also have like a fourth option to schedule 1 hour video call with them to discuss about everything. So this is like using the website, learning about all this stuff. We had this before and after where when you click and drag with your mouse, you can see how it was, like switch on the left, there is a damaged vehicle. When you move on the right, there is a fixed vehicle. And this kind of stuff, video testimonials, a lot of stuff that convinced them, which lead us to this end goal where they where they filled these forms and reached out to them. Now, the conversion rate in this case for a client was around 3 point something, which is pretty good. And yeah, clients were very satisfied because the process was proper. Yeah, so this is, I forgot to say the days, but as I said, how might we in mapping can be done in day 1. All of this can be done in day 2, but really depends on a client because we really need a client for a lot of this stuff and maybe can be split into 2 days if it's necessary. And after that, the 4th day, we can have sitemap. Sitemap is pretty interesting stuff because until we get to this point, we already know a lot of stuff, everything about our clients. We know how they behave, what they do, who they are, what they're interested in. We know a lot of stuff. And so obviously we can, with the help of client or with just internally with a team, whatever you want, we can create a sitemap, meaning to decide of what kind of pages we're going to have. And not just that, we also put the sections. Like, okay, so we have a homepage. Obviously, we're going to have a hero section. What's going to be in the hero section? We decided to have these 2 buttons instead of a form. Form is kind of old-fashioned, and maybe sometimes maybe not old-fashioned, but sometimes can be too direct and a bit aggressive. But after that, what else we want? We want to have promotional banner, services section, unique selling points, very important on every website, social proof. For the social proof, I always suggest to have a video testimonials. That's the best way to show people, real people who talk about your product or service. It's the best way. Then, I don't know, compare, as I said, testimonials, location, contact, and so forth. And after the homepage, what else we need? We need a service, we need an about page, and it's pretty much it. They didn't want it to have a huge website. They just needed a website that's going to convert well, which we did. After all this information, the next step would be sketching. Now, this is blank, but the sketching is actually an exercise that can be done with a client. And during the sketching process, what we do is just, if the client wants to be part of it, which I strongly suggest, during that sketching, we can sketch just one section or one element, pretty much anything, just to start getting ideas and different perspectives. Once this is completed, we can also vote. I forgot to say that because we had voting only on the how might we, but you can vote for in any step, pretty much, because voting is, democracy. It's a good way to decide if something is good or not good. And during the sketching, we can also vote. And this sketching process can help us a lot on our last step, which is wireframing. And for the wireframing, before it was tough because we did use different ways, different approaches. Sometimes took us a very long time to wireframe something. But then we learned about Reloom. And the good thing about Reloom, because Reloom is a framework, let's say it, for Webflow. But they also have a Figma framework, which is free to use. And I really suggest to use because it just has a lot of components, a lot of stuff that can speed up your wireframing process. Like, I don't know, excuse me, for not just 100%, they can make it 3 times faster than you used to do. And it's just really good to use. I'm not saying this because they don't give me anything for that, but they're just very good. So I just want to always suggest products to use that are good and helpful. And this case, Reloom is. I don't have it here to share, but anyway, take a look, try to find it. Just type in Reloom for Figma or something like that, and you'll find it. And the best thing here is because if you do use Reloom in wireframing, you can use it in UI design as well. And then you can also use it for Webflow development, which is really gonna speed up your process a lot. And not just that, for example, for us, yeah, thanks for your comments, man. Yeah, for the Reloom is really good because of the Webflow. Because after you use the Reloom here in Webflow, can just help you build everything faster. Because for example, for us, yeah, that's what I want to say. For us, before it took us day 2 or maybe 3 days sometimes to create a style guide with a fin suite in Webflow. But by using Reloom, it takes us 30 minutes or maybe 1 hour, which is crazy. It's crazy fast. And yeah, it's really time saving. So all this is like a week wrap of the UX, which took me 30 minutes to explain, and still it's just tip of the iceberg. But really try to use it as much as you can. If you have any questions, I can help as much as I can, but this is me trying to explain it. After that, the next step is art direction, but this is empty because art direction is, you shouldn't use Reloom on anything like that in this step, because it's exploration of different visual approaches. And in this case, I would suggest to go with 2 or 3 different approaches. And after that, to get a client on a call with you so that you can vote. Just don't send them this so they can see and tell you what they think. They're not art directors. You don't want their opinion in that matter. You wanted them opinion. You wanted their opinion here because it's important. Their knowledge is very useful. But here it's visuals. They will most likely be attached to something they feel good, that feel makes them feel good, but that necessarily doesn't mean that it will make their users feel good. So that's why I suggest that to do, once you have 3 different approaches, to have a call with the team and everybody to explain everything, and that all of you guys can vote. And the best design with the most votes should be taken further from this step. If you all agree that still after deciding on a certain example needs a bit more work, that's fine, you can do it, but don't do it just because client don't want to. Try to explain the process and try to include everybody, because that is the proper way of doing it, and that is the only way to have a high converting website. After that, and after the approval, the next step is style guide and in Figma. For the style guide, again, I suggest using Reloom or something else. If you guys prefer, like like Question has said here, like Notion Smith, if I saying correctly, but you can use whatever you want. But this is what we have based on the Webflow. Now after we have our direction, we have our visuals, we can create a style guide and design system, and then we can apply it to the UI on the homepage and all other pages. Now, you didn't get a file? Okay, sorry. Let me just copy this link. I'm just gonna put it in chat so you guys can take it from here. That's fine. Let me know if this works, but it should. Okay, so in this file, this is the style guide that we use. And what I like more about this than in, for example, Reloom, is because they didn't include some important stuff that Webflow has, like a rich text, form states, system images, this kind of, and they only have a desktop and mobile version. And yeah, let me start from the back of this. So for the desktop and mobile version and tablet, this is actually these 3 sizes that we use. Mobile 375, I know it's maybe small now with modern phones, but it's better if you create it for a smaller version. It's easier to expand, no problem, than to create for a bigger version, because then you may run into different problems. If I go Shift R, you can see just the guidelines, but I didn't actually. Yeah. Okay, you also have grid styles here. For the tablet, yeah, 744, that's usually the tablet size. And the desktop, okay, so the desktop is, to be honest, the trickiest one, because we used to use like 1440, and I think that's, let me just show it to you. Yeah, that's a desktop that Figma recommends, and I don't recommend using that one because it's too big. What the problem that we ran into before is that a lot of our clients are using small laptops like MacBook Air or maybe something similar if it's not a Mac, and which is this size. And I really think it's better to use that one. And then if the design is complex and you don't think it's going to be good on a larger screen size, then I suggest creating a 4K screen size, more than this, something more than this, like I don't know, maybe that's under here, maybe in this one, but something around 4K, so that can help you understand, but maybe only for a homepage, just to help you understand if the flow is good, if the breaking points are good. And on this, yeah. And but the other thing that we also noticed is that, I mean, this was all noticed from clients' feedback, that when some people, when they use Chrome, for example, or Firefox or something like that, they have a lot of these tabs, which makes the height of their screen even smaller, and that is a huge problem because most of our clients want to have things above the fold, very important stuff, like the title or maybe some important graphic and the buttons, and that's why we use this approach where we have a width of 1056 and a height of 645. In this size, if you put the most important content, you will not have a problem on any desktop. You will, on any desktop, it will be fully visible. Doesn't matter how many tabs they have or how small their computer is. This is what works best for us for desktop. Okay, can I just finish this? I'm just gonna be quick, and I'll get back to you. Sorry, man. Yeah. So this is the screen sizes for the system images. You can just replace them here, but this is the four main ones: the favicon, which is this, the web clip. Web clip is only used for sharing on iPhone, to be honest, but that's what Webflow has. And the open graph images are when you share the certain pages to social media. That can be just one, or you can have each one for every page. On the icons, I suggest to have unified icons. You can have different sizes. I just have 3 here, like a small, medium, and large. You have more different sizes. But what I would suggest is to kind of align them by height, or like to have the same width and height. But if you go, I mean, if you align them by height, it's not going to work for every icon because some icons are wider but not as tall, and vice versa. And if you go one by one, then I would suggest using some kind of like a rectangle or something so that you can put them inside and center them so that they can all fix within the same size. Then I will always suggest to create a rich text, because rich text is something completely different and separate, and something that Webflow uses when they have a CMS. So always use that, and we have like a headings from 1 to 6, paragraph, bullet points with ordered and unordered list. The image placeholder, text link, and a bunch of other stuff, but this stuff. So I don't want to go too deep into this. Buttons and links, I like to fill them, to put them separate, but then just to have like a default hover and press state. For example, for a primary button with an icon, secondary, menu icons, menu buttons, icon buttons, text links, link blocks like FAQ, or maybe some cards for blogs or stuff like that. Input forms, it's very important because sometimes people forget, but it's good to have like all these different states for forms, like a default, focus, hover, if you have a drop down, if you have checkboxes, but this is only optional. And error and success message, this is a must for every form in Webflow. And the components, I would suggest, you don't need to have them here because in Figma you can have everything in assets. But I'm a visual guy, so I like to have everything set in one place. So I would suggest all the main components to have in one place here, like, I don't know, just for example, like the form, the header, footer, subscribe, FAQ, review, and this kind of stuff. Now the typography and sizes. Here I have them only so that I can visualize the difference between the smallest and the largest. For the spacing, the radius, the heading, and the paragraph as well. Because I don't want to have inconsistencies with different sizes. I just want everything to be very smooth. And in this Figma file, you also have variables, which we use for projects. And it's super helpful when you have projects that you want to constantly work on and update and complete. So here, how we split it, for example, tab for colors, and we have the base color for a brand, which is a brand colors. How many you're going to have really depends on a brand. I just put one here. We have a system colors, which includes the success error, success error warning, and focus state. I put 3 different options, but you can have as much as you want, as many as you want. And base colors, like and the neutral colors, which I have from 100 to 900, but I also have a 51. You can also, again, have as many as you like because really depends on the project. So this is like a base colors, which means that all the other colors can be just connected to them. For example, background color, you have a primary, secondary, success, warning, error. We can just connect it to these base colors. The same goes with the text colors, the border color, and the link color. You're not every time going to need all of this. You can just delete what you don't need and leave only what you need. It's as simple as that. But I always suggest to use variables. On typography, we have some basic stuff like family, weight, font size. It all is done for both desktop and mobile, but you can, I don't think you need to put a tablet because tablet is not very different than this. The sizes, we go to the paragraph size and headings. You can have just one paragraph size. I put a couple of different ones to help you. And also the important note here is that I use a 4-point grid because that's 1-point rule, whatever you want to call it, but that's what Webflow use. That's why I use it here as well. Same goes for line height and letter spacing. You don't maybe need letter spacing. It can be default. This is just an optional thing that I wanted to use here. On other, I put margins, paddings, and radius. And I always use a none, like a radius none padding one, because sometimes you're not gonna need it. And again, how many you're gonna need really depends on you. I just use here like a common language that we use for creating classes in Webflow, and from that I got different sizes. Yeah, I mean, again, this is all optional, but I strongly suggest to use variables. So this is the style guide that we use. But again, as I said in the beginning, for those maybe who didn't hear, style guide, we really try to kind of combine now the reloom with this one, meaning that we just add to the reloom what we don't see there, like states, buttons and links, rich text components, system images, icons, this kind of stuff that we need when we're creating a style guide in Webflow. Other things are quite fast, and I'm gonna get back to you guys. For the UI and animation, I don't have anything, but I'm gonna explain how we do it. So once we create on the art direction the homepage, which I forgot to say, please don't use components on this kind of stuff when you're working on the art direction, which is usually with the homepage, because it's just going to take you a lot of time to do it. Here you should explore with different styles, different things, and you shouldn't be limited because this is going to limit you pretty much mostly with speed, and just create something. And then once the style guide is done, you take that homepage that is approved, apply everything to that from the variables and the style guide that you have, and then create other pages based on the style guide, like on different screen sizes and different pages depending on what you're going to have. For the animation, Actually, for the animation, we use these kind of things, sticky notes, very useful thing. We don't always use, sometimes we use comments, but I don't suggest using comments because people usually use comments to leave feedback or comment for the copy or stuff like that. So I don't want things to get mixed with all of this. So what I think what is useful is to put a sticky note next to the section on the page that you, not on the page, but next to the page, like this. Write a comment on what you wanna, how did you imagine this to be animated, and leave a link of some animation where you saw something like that. This is for stuff that it's very complex for you to create. And if you're working with developer, this could be very helpful. If you can, it would be very good if to create a prototype in Figma for at least some stuff. But if you don't have time for that, or it's just you don't know how to do it, then you can just use the sticky notes to leave the comments and put the links of the animations examples, or where you know, if you find them on some other websites or wherever you're gonna find them. Yeah, pretty much this is roughly how things go. Just let me just take a look at this comment, the last one. Can you please help me understand this a bit more, a bit better, to help you how you can adapt the process if the clients want you to go off the shelf of the template. But what exactly you mean by that? I mean, this is a template, but as I was saying all the time, you don't really need to strictly go with this. This is just a helpful thing, something to help you along the way, something that you can use to for your projects. Because as I said, there is some stuff that you always need to have, like rich text, system images, different screen sizes, form states, components, typography, sizes, margins, all this stuff. You really need to have them. But if you wanna go with something, I don't know, did you mean about, is that what you meant? But if you really need to go something that, for example, you're using Reloom and the clients want something crazy. What we did before we create that in Figma, and when we use Reloom in development in Webflow, we just try to find the closest possible component that they have in Webflow, drag and drop it in Webflow, and style it accordingly. So, you know, it's gonna take some time to organize it and stretch it out, but that is how we did. But I don't know if that's what you meant. Please, guys, if you have any comments or questions, let me know. Maybe this is not all perfect, especially because some pages are empty, but I didn't want it to put some random project here because, first of all, I didn't know if I can do that because the clients, but the second is maybe it just doesn't make sense. There's gonna limit you with some stuff. That's why I wanted to explain it. And what I gave you is the style guide that we use and the sprint, all these things that we have. And really, this sprint is a pretty good thing. And you can also make it shorter or make it longer. But the important thing about a sprint is that you can adapt it to your needs. You can skip some stuff, you can change some stuff, add different things in order to adapt to your project requirements. Yeah, let me take a look in your comment, man. Oh, that. Yeah, I heard about that before. Yeah, so if yeah, the question is that if the client share a template website, like a template, like a Webflow and WordPress, this kind of stuff, like a really real template, and ask it to adapt it to their needs. How to do that? Yeah, that's a tough one. Well, what I would suggest is to still stick with your system that you have, but you really need to readjust it. You really need to redo a lot of stuff, because templates, I mean, there's actually two ways to do it, depending on how you want to approach it. If you want to do it fast, you just do it with whatever you have. Don't follow any guidelines or any variables or this kind of stuff. You just do it with what template have, and based on how they did it, how they created template, create more stuff. I mean, this is the best way that I can say it. But maybe the more proper thing, yeah, but I don't think they can contact the template builder, because I don't think they will get anything out of them, because they're most likely don't care. They create a template and that's it. But maybe the better solution for that would be to ask the client more questions of what they're trying to achieve. If they use the template only to make things faster, they're not gonna do it, because template is very limited, and it limits you very much on how you can adapt it further on, especially because you're not the person who built it. So what I would suggest is to talk with a client, to take that template and to apply it to your different style, with different variables, to kind of restructure it, reshape it with your approach. Um, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to read your question. I think that you always should go with asking questions, and that's always what you should start with. Try to ask what is their goal with the template, what they want to trying to achieve. Because from my experience, they're most likely using it because they think the template's going to make things faster, but it's not. As I said, template is very limited. So try to talk with a client to explain them that if you use a template, there are certain things that will slow you down, or maybe, not going to help you get many things out of it. And try to talk them into using something different, maybe even Reloom, or something like Reloom, where you can where you have a pre-made components, but it's not that limited, because you have many of them, you have a lot of them, and you can use different kinds of components to create a page quickly. That would be like a replacement for a template. Instead of using template, to use something like that. Yeah, so I'm sorry if I didn't help that much, but this is just some ideas that I had in mind. Yeah, just like vessel. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your name properly, but yeah, just to try to establish that you're an expert in the call, and maybe you can really talk to them to opt for Relum components or something similar. Yeah, that's right. That's what I was saying. Just to try to use some kind of a components or something similar to help you out with a process, and something that's going to replace this, to have the speed of the template, but not going to limit you. Maybe that's the proper way to say it. And yeah, Relum is one of the starting points, but it's not always the answer. Try to find different stuff, especially if you work only with design. Maybe there are better options. I don't know. I just talking about Reloom because it's very good for both Figma and Webflow. And if you work with Webflow or a framer, it's a good starting point. Do you guys have any other questions? Because yeah, if you have, would love to chat. If not, I would wrap up this for now. And if you guys like this kind of content, I can create one for the Webflow to show you how we work with a Webflow, how we organize, create a style guide, work with Loom, all this kind of stuff. Maybe that can be fun as well. Or maybe we can go, maybe we can have some kind of workshop to maybe go live into explaining some certain steps if they are still unclear, or maybe not even about the UX, maybe about the art direction exploration, because there is different ways of how you can approach the art direction exploration as well. One of the things that we tried is that, which I didn't say, I forgot, sorry, is that we create stylescapes. Stylescapes are kind of like a mood boards, but more persona oriented. So once you know your persona, around that persona, for example, in this case, Michael, or it can be Daryl, doesn't matter. You took that persona and create a stylescape for that person, meaning you just have like a piece of artboard or a paper or whatever you're going to call it, and just put different things that connects to that persona, like different textures, different colors, different materials, different I don't know, maybe even cars or whatever connects you to this persona. That would be, in my suggestion, the first step in the art direction, creating stylescape for each persona, and then going through that on a call with a client, trying to explain why you use these kind of visuals. And if the client liked that approach, then you can start working on the initial homepage or the page, because that will make your decision making process much easier and simpler, and you will have clearer idea of how to approach it. Yeah, I mean, this live stream is just me talking. But yeah, I would really love to have maybe some kind of a workshop with you guys, and maybe to have a discussion, not just a monologue. Yeah, but again, to not have conflicts with the variables and this kind of stuff, I really suggest using Reloom, because it's just gonna make you things faster. Anyway, that's it. Again, if you guys have any comments or any more questions that you may think of later, please let me know. I would love to chat with you, and see you soon on LinkedIn. Take care.